Hai, MaKhoisan wena maAfrika ba re afriforum ya phapha. Ya phapha afriforum ba lebetse hore ke bona ba tlileng mo South Africa ba colonize. Ba nka everything ka ntlo ya ngena. Setse ba lla jwale ba ya ko Trump wena maAfrika. Ba ko Trump ba re ai ho hobe kwa re treatiwa jwang. MaKhoisan a re bathong. Lona last biscuit to crack. Ba be jwalo ba biwa wena maAfrika ba re ai in fact ba re bona ba batla meeting ya bona le Donald Trump or administration ya hae he. Ara ba batla meeting e wena maAfrika ba batla mo hopotsa Donald Trump hore phela hopole hore le yena ko America ko batho ba thotseng mo hopole maAfrika mago a tletseng kwa America ke batho ba tswang England le bona ba tlile ko ka ntlo ya ngena o tshwana le ba maburu le magoa ba tlileng mo Africa borwa ke re wa hopola re bua ntho gore bona ba tsamaya ba colonize a re tlo mo hopotsa re phela the Native American bona batho ba thotseng ba phela kwa a re tlo ba hopotsa re phela le lona bao ba phela ba phela maphelo a West o phala a maburu a phelang mo South Africa. A re ke re utlwa nyane ko video more ba re tshwaretse tse di fomplele re wena na hana eng ka taba e mo Africa hore MaKhoisan a right na ka hore no mabura phap to ba yentseng ba phaphile too much ba lebetse ntho tse ba di yentseng ntho tse ba di lelang tsa 31 years since 1994 wena mo Africa ke dilo tse leng hore MaKhoisan ba na le almost 400 years ba di lela wena mo Africa fomplele re ikutlwa jwang a re ke re bona gore re dintsa.
Welcome back. So in an interesting turn of events in South Africa's diplomatic row with the United States, some members of the Khoisan community have requested a meeting with Donald Trump, or the Donald Trump administration rather, over land dispossession. The group says it needs to clarify the concerns raised by Solidarity and Afriforum regarding land expropriation without compensation in South Africa. Activist Christian Martin joins us now for more. Christian, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is interesting, right? Activists that are really wanting to see the recognition of the Khoi and the San people in South Africa, wanting to meet with the Trump administration. Why? Talk to us about the why.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think I just wanted to bring some clarity and some background to the actual writing to the White House and specifically to President Donald Trump. You see, the challenge that we have as the Khoi and San, you have two parties that are coming together. The one party just some years, decades ago, was actually found guilty for apartheid as being a crime of humanity. The other party, who is President Donald Trump, who I see as a schoolyard bully, the one is going to the other one. If you look at President Donald Trump and his indigenous people in his country, the research that I've done over the years shows that the indigenous people of America is actually worse off than these same people from Solidarity and AfriForum that he's going to now. And Donald Trump wants to defend the AfriForum and the Solidarity people on whose behalf they are actually talking. That is the challenge that I have, is that there's two parties coming together. The one cry victim, which is AfriForum and Solidarity, as I call it, the schoolyard bully, who is no better in treating his indigenous people when it comes to the American Indians or the American indigenous people. If you do your research on the indigenous people of America, you will find out that when it comes to suicide, it is very high. Obvious because of the treatment and what they are going through. Poverty is high. Substance abuse is high. All these things are happening there, and yet these two parties are coming together. My point was, let's meet, and then we can discuss the South African context of who is actually supposed to cry victim in this country. We are talking about 31 years that AfriForum and Solidarity is going to Donald Trump to ask for assistance. We as the Khoisan people are talking about 431 years of going through what we are going through at present. Number one, in the South African context, the same Solidarity and AfriForum, they can partake in socio-economic activities. They can partake in this country. The Khoi and San, as per Triple BEE, are not acknowledged as people of South Africa. We're not African, because African's definition for Triple BEE is only Nguni. We are not black, because black's definition is African, Indian, colored. And I almost want to say, worst of all, even the Chinese people took the South African government 2007 to the High Court, won the case, and even the Chinese people can qualify to apply for Triple BEE projects. The Khoi and San people in their own country of abode are not recognized as African people coming from Africa. And for me, it was just to see this going on between these parties, Solidarity versus the Trump administration. So ours is to say is that let's come together. The Trump administration, who is the schoolyard bully, as well as Solidarity, as well as AfriForum that are crying and screaming a victimhood. We're talking about expropriation without compensation. Let's not forget that the Khoi and San were killed to the brink of extinction in this country, not for anything else but land. Let's not forget there was a planned genocide against the Khoi and especially the Bushmen in this country. Why? Because of land. And now these same people are screaming expropriation without compensation is something bad, it's something evil. Yet they forget very soon that is how they got this land that they are living on today.
It's an interesting perspective, and you go on to say, and I want to read from some of what you've written. The very practices these organizations now decry, this is where you speak about Solidarity and AfriForum, were once perpetrated against our ancestors by the British and Portuguese colonial forces, as well as the South African apartheid government. So you've written to the Trump administration, and you've received acknowledgement of that memorandum to his administration. What is the call that is being made here to the British and Portuguese governments?
As I've said, if you're looking at the background, remember our colonial past in this country. I was just trying to remind Solidarity. Sure. I'm just trying to remind AfriForum. I'm just trying to tell Donald Trump, who's now trying to be the person, the hero, saving AfriForum and saving Solidarity representatives, to say is that let's not forget, in South Africa, we came through colonialism, we came through apartheid, we came through the Dutch, we even coming now through the democratic dispensation. Why I'm saying that democratic dispensation, we are fighting to get acknowledged, to get recognized in our own country. You know, the irony of the South African politics is the following. When the Nguni came from the north, it was the Khoi and San that received them. When the Europeans came from the sea, it was the Khoi and San that received them. Today, it's the Khoi and San that stands hand at front and asks, please acknowledge us, please receive us, please make us part of having land in this country that we have welcomed you. Therefore, I put in my statement also that the Khoi and San, we see ourselves as the bridge builders when it comes to the South African politics. Two people fight in South Africa. Never do we claim it's our country. We know it's our country because we form part of this country. I mean, so it's so easy for me to understand. Even my son, when he was 12 years old, he asked me, Daddy, you say you are a chief. His name is Devon Matthews. We're raising him. So he says, Uncle Christian, you say that you are chief, but where your land? 12 years old. I didn't know how to answer him. The other thing is, when I go to schools, I encourage children to show diversity. Then I will ask them, when you're from America, what are you called? An American. When you are from China, you're a Chinese. When you're from Africa, you're an African. Now, the Khoi and San are from Africa, in particularly southern South Africa. Why are we not called Africans and form part of the African definition? In 2007, to be specific, the ANC went as far in their 52nd conference to say that the new definition for African is all the Nguni's, and they name all the Nguni's and the Khoi and San. It is 18 years later, nothing happened to that resolution that was made on the 52nd conference of the ANC, that was made the new definition.
Sure.
But other resolutions was made for women, 50-50, great. Others was made for disabled people, 2%, we're now at 8%, I believe, and so forth. But this one at the 52nd conference of the ANC, 2007, there was a decision taken, and suddenly everybody else of selective amnesia. I showed all of them, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa. I've shown him, I gave him a memorandum to the effect. He said he's going to look into it. Until Gong Anang Gog, nothing has happened. We went, literally, I can show you photos we have taken with the former President Jacob Zuma when he was still at the ANC. We went to Nkandla on the 24th of September, Heritage Day. We went to hand over to him a memorandum. All of them agree that, yes, no, Martin, you are the first Khoisan. You are the first indigenous people of the South Africa. But our children are unemployed. Why? Because the Z83 requires you must write African or you must write black.
Yeah.
We are nothing in South Africa.
Mr. Martin, let me ask you this, because obviously, we need to move towards wrapping it up. And I want to hear, what your immediate demands are, or requests, if you will, right, or recommendations, whichever word you want to use. It's not lost on me that in the period that this debate around AfriForum, and certainly, the issue of land expropriation also being discussed in the White House, that while all of this is brewing, we did also see the Khoisan community that had been on the grounds of government's headquarters for 6 years are being removed. And perhaps you want to reflect on that. But the immediate demands from this conversation.
Thank you for this opportunity again. One, the immediate demand is our children are loitering the streets. They want to apply for jobs. Jobs are for Black and for African and for Chinese people. We want our children to apply. We are as African can be. There's no race when it comes to African or when it comes to Black. For me, it's just a location of some country or continent as China to Chinese. That is what it's all about. Our children want the same opportunities. That's the first thing. Declare ourselves as per the decisions taken in 2007, 52nd conference, declare us as African Black. Then the second thing is you raise now this thing of the union building. It was the most distasteful event that took place in this country's democracy. In 1957, 20,000 women went to the same union building to fight for the same rights that the Khoi and San are fighting today. When they got there, Strydom wasn't there to see them. It's exactly what we are going through a democratic government that we are going through. What is, our government, which I'm part of, I'm an ANC member for that matter. I've been an MEC in this country, in this province, so I can say these things. My point that I'm trying to make is, why are we being treated the same way that we fought against during apartheid? When the same woman, 20,000 went to the union buildings, were not received. We are celebrating the 9th of August to celebrate those women. But we are doing to the Khoi and San what we are doing today. Shame on our government. Shame on those that have done it.